I'm Jamz Supernova and welcome to Between the Lines. This is a podcast all about deep diving on a song from an amazing artist, looking at the words, looking at the meaning, looking at the message and the life experiences behind the words that we go on to sing. And on this episode, I'm joined by Nilüfer Yanya, singer, songwriter, musician, deeply rooted in the British alternative space. I always remember thinking alternative music, Nilüfer Yanya, for me, they kind of go side by side. Sound-wise, very guitar-driven, and she's onto her third album, which came out last year, Method Actor, which is a big achievement for someone under 30. 3 albums under 30. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not bad when you put it like that.
Yeah, when you sort of condense it all, does it feel like a kind of, a good sort of marker in your life to be turning 30 and be like, right, I've got these 3 bodies of work next to me?
Yeah, because it's less like, it feels like a healthier thing in a way to measure yourself against. I feel like I put the work in, so
Yeah,
I'm proud
definitely.
of that, yeah.
It's been like a good sort of decade in the industry
Yeah.
in making music and releasing music. And I was looking you up online, obviously, and your birthday, by the time this goes out, you would have turned 30. But right now, today,
Still
your
in my
birthday,
20s.
you're still in your 20s, the final days of your 20s. And then you'll be turning 30 on the 11th of May. So I was, look at these statistics that I've made up.
Yeah.
So you turned 25 in the lockdown. That was the year 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a year after releasing your first album, Miss Universe, came out in 2019. 2022, you brought out Painless. You were 27. Method Actor at 29. So I was actually kind of thinking back into my sort of 20s and thinking about they're quite big sort of differences, 25, 27, 29. A lot happens. When you looked back and you thought about with Method Actor, when you thought about what your 20s meant, what did it bring up for you? And being in your later 20s.
Yeah, I feel like Method Actor, I feel like this with all the music I do, but definitely Method Actor, because I think I was aware I was approaching like the end of this kind of era of my life. So thinking differently, and like I was in such a different headspace to when I did my first record, and I guess thinking about what it means to like really be growing up, not like kind of be growing up, like really be feeling like you're into your adulthood, and like what do I want to get out of life, as opposed to like what do I want to achieve, which is like different.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
And against the backdrop of like the lockdown,
Yeah.
being in a lockdown, kind of coming out of a lockdown, and now being 4 or 5 years outside of a crazy
5 years,
experience.
yeah.
I wanted to kind of jump into. I was really interested in the questions that you asked yourself in making the album, and I tried to answer them for myself. And I started on the train over, and I was like, oh, these are big questions. This is really hard.
Oh my God.
So the first one's who are we, right? The second one was why do we follow the paths that we follow? And the third one was like, what's at the heart of it all?
Yeah.
Are those the 3 questions?
Yeah, and also one of them was like, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to spend so much time writing, making music? Like, why was that important to me? But why has it become like everything I based my whole life around in a way?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think for me anyways, the answer is like, it feels like the only real way of getting to know myself, and talking about like markers and like age and things like albums, like those things are cool, but it's like, I feel like as long as I'm able to write or maybe like focus on music in some kind of way, then I can almost like track my own personal growth or like growing as a person, like how, and like, yeah, it's like abstract, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
On like a different level. Yeah.
I wanted to break down Binding, and it's been described as a stop you in your tracks kind of record, and it does because it's like track 4 on the album, and we actually start quite up tempo, and then Binding kind of comes out, and then and then we start to get into the sort of the grit and the slightly different sonics of Nilüfer. Do you remember where you were when you wrote the song?
Yes, it was like 2 years ago. Me and Will, so Will produced and co-wrote the album with me.
It's Wilma Archer.
Wilma Archer, yeah. So I feel like the song started 2 years ago in spring. He'd sent me the verse guitar and the drums, like doom 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 doom, that part. And it was like so pretty and
It's melancholic, isn't it?
yeah, very melancholic,
Yeah.
but very like attractive, like beautiful, like
Addictive.
yeah. And it was just like the loop. I had like the chords for the chorus bit. It just felt very instinctive kind of response. I think we did that in the studio, but then we hadn't like written anything over it, and I just had like the instrumental for a really long time, and I was like, I didn't want to be too. I think I was being quite precious with it for a while, so it was kind of hard to like break the ice. I think we went to Wales that summer for a week and we did some writing, and then that's when we finally got like the verse, like melody and like lyrics coming through. I think the trick was just to like not overdo it and just kind of do something that a bit more repetitive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's structured, isn't it? It's quite a structured song. It's interesting to know that the melodies and the production element of it was what was finished, or kind of to a finished point before the even words were formed.
Yeah, I think
I always imagined it maybe, here's the song, I'm feeling this, here's the melody.
For me, it always starts with the music.
Yeah.
So like I don't really know what to write about, or maybe like even writing a song is like pointless unless you've got the music first.
You talked about instincts, and I guess for you it's feeling, isn't it? So instincts and feelings, and I've been using this word a lot to myself, like what feels intuitive, like rather than trying to like overdo something or trying to like fight my brain, but what feels intuitive, what would you naturally do, and to like let that lead. So when you heard, when you get to Wales now and you're feeling and it's instinctive and intuitive, what words start coming up for you?
Yeah, so something like deeper and deeper. I think at one point it was like darker and darker. Kind of, yeah, words that maybe aren't like profound or anything, but like with a bit of repetition, they kind of like feel like you're sinking. I think the song like has a feeling of like sinking down. It's kind of like a bit of a downer. I think as you said, like, and the way it comes in on that album is a bit like the first like low. Yeah, I think those words kind of came first. Also like driving too fast. It definitely felt like it was I kept imagining myself like in a car on a long drive. It's like raining. And you're just kind of on this never-ending drive, and maybe there's like mountains, or maybe it's not. Don't know.
I love the scene setting at the beginning of the song, because that's exactly what you do. Like you paint it straight away. You're like driving too fast, vacant and glass-eyed, not coming back down from the hills.
Yes.
So you instantly like the scene set. How important is it for you to have like imagery?
I feel like it just comes. I feel like with every song there is an image, and it's not like it doesn't necessarily develop, but that opening scene or image is like always there, and I can't really get rid of it. So I don't even know if it's important. It just is there, like a little bit.
Yeah. And like personally, how much of you is in this song?
I feel like a lot. The chorus lyrics feel quite different at the same time, and the verses feel a bit more like a journal entry or something. Yeah, like something you're telling the story, what's going on, and then the chorus is like the hook.
Yeah. No, I think because it feels so sort of personal, and like you said, in some ways, the scene is set. It's imagery. It's it sets the imagination off. This idea of this like sort of never ending, this never ending road that you're on, and it could be metaphorical or it could be, the literal being on a road, being on a journey and getting somewhere. And I was definitely interested in the idea of like being a method actor. You're putting us in this position to act this scene out with you and wherever you're going. What was it about the practice of method acting that actors use that what you wanted to explore?
So it was lyric that I'd written in the song Method Actor, and then I kind of thought it was a cool title, and I couldn't think of anything else to like name the record, so I went with that. And I liked it because when I like read into method acting, it's kind of about not acting. It's about like you've whatever they do to like understand the character and like try and really get into their shoes. It's to the point where when someone says a line or you're in the scene, you're not thinking, oh, I'm an actor, I'm saying this, I'm acting like this. You're literally being the character, you're being the person. And I feel like that's interesting for me because like writing, performing, it's such like a personal thing for me at the same time. So I feel like whenever I go on stage or I have to like show it to somebody or perform something, people often ask like, "Are you ready?" or like, "How you like? Are you excited?" or like, "Do you step into like, do you have like a different ego on stage?" And it's like, not really. I'm just literally trying to be myself, but to the point where I feel like there's an affinity with like method acting, because you're like trying to, in the same way a method actor might try and be the character, I'm literally trying to be myself like more and more.
Yeah. And I think in this sort of modern world with, I don't know, the homogenization of social media and everything like that, to be yourself is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And to try and know who yourself is and who
Yeah.
you're trying to be,
Yeah.
because you can easily not know who you are for a bit, like,
Yeah, you
and
can
that's
lose it.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes and goes. It's like
Yeah.
it ebbs and flows, and one year you might really know yourself, the next year you're like, who was she? I don't know who she is. But I always think about that with like radio and DJing. Like I know that the best me is the truest me. That wouldn't second guess a joke or second guess a mix, or you know. But I have to create space for me to be me.
Yeah.
which can be hard.
Yeah, observing like radio, like DJ and presenters, like one of the weirdest things I always find is when you're in the studio with somebody and then they're talking to you like themselves and then they flip into their character
on the mic. Yeah.
And it's like the weirdest thing to like observe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's like some people, I guess they have that persona. Sometimes it's just a bit more, there isn't a persona.
Yeah. And I was always drawn to the people that didn't have a persona. Like I always loved watching people. They'd be like chat, put the mic up, chat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that feels like we're getting a maybe a filtered version of you because you're not swearing or you're not saying anything crude, but we still get the innocence of you. So I've always loved that. And did it as well for you? I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of going a bit too far into the method acting thing, but Reddit was kind of like, you know, I love Reddit. I mean, I never used it for research before for the podcast, but it's really cool. The forums, they'd be foruming about you. They like having their own conversation, wondering about how are you doing? What were some of the words that they said? It's like your most moody insular record was from one Reddit reader.
I like that.
Yeah, I was like, that's
gonna use that.
Really good. Yeah. Moody, insular. But I thought, you know, that's real connection when people want to talk about your music with each other. But is there an element of then, okay, we're trying to be our truest selves, but then we have people openly on an online forum being able to dissect our truest selves.
Right.
Is there an element of needing to have separation between that though? Or do you not need that?
Yeah, no, I do think there is definitely separation. I think the great thing about music is like once you release it, you're kind of not done with it, but you've already done a lot of like work on it.
Yeah.
So like you feel like, okay, cool, bye.
Yeah.
And you do feel the need to like move on, try something else, do something else. So like once it's released, obviously if it was like everyone was like co-writing their album with me on Reddit, that'd be a bit intense. But like I feel like once it's out there, I'm really happy for everyone else to have their own like personal what it means to them. And even for me, like once I've finished a song or when I'm playing a song on stage that I've had for like a few years, the meanings change and like mutates into something else.
Yeah, into where you're at in your life, or whether you're not there anymore, but you can access, you know, that part.
And like I feel like I tend to write a bit more abstract, like it's a bit vague, so it can be whatever you want it to be.
Oh, I love this bit. I was like, we could talk about like the vagueness or the abstract or what we might have pulled from it. So we start with driving too fast, vacant and glass eyes, not coming back down from the hills. Chemical crash, damaged my left side, don't get attached, taste of the still. So initially I was like, you know, I'm trying to be like rap genius in this, you know. Initially I was like, is it about a drug high? Is it the analogy of drugs, like not necessarily the act of taking drugs, but the analogy of the high of a drug? And because we sort of spoke about this parallel narrative of driving.
Yeah.
And then later in the song, we also get introduced to another character, essentially. So, yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of all those things because on this like high or like substance or something, and you're literally driving. It's like a long journey, and you're literally driving yourself into like an oblivion, or trying to lose yourself, lose sight of yourself, lose completely detached because you don't want to be there like in the moment. And I feel like that's kind of what any like substance does in a way anyways. So it's like both. It's like you're in it and it's real, and then it's also like a metaphor of maybe doing that in your real life. Yeah. And then for you, like, what was the character you feel like at the end?
I felt like the character that gets brought in feels like a love interest, and then I was
Yes.
like, is this a toxic relationship? You know,
Ah,
are you not you, but you know,
yeah, yeah.
the character in this is addicted to this person. You know,
Yeah.
this idea of maybe the journey is like falling in love, but it's not always fun to fall
Yeah.
in love, and you can feel like, you know, especially in the early bit, like you can't see the end in sight, but you're addicted to that feeling, and then you sort of again, like the analogies of like give me your best stuff kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was where I
I
kind of got
like
that
that.
from.
Yeah. I do feel like it's like hopeful at the end. I feel like at that point in the song, it's like you're giving, you're almost like sacrificing the whole of yourself to this thing, whatever it is,
Yeah,
like
what you're
love,
chasing.
relationship, or what you're chasing. Um, and you're just like willing to like give all of you to whatever it is.
Yeah. What do you say? We trace each dawn with my hands I tear, cut a
Yeah.
hole inside my heart, cut me out, you won't regret.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bit definitely felt like a bit giving.
It's a bit more like physical as well, because you're
Yeah.
like using your hands to like tear the hole, as opposed to like before that, it's like you're stuck in a loop and it's in your head or maybe your chest, and then you're like tearing it like open. That was a fun bit to write because I'd written, like, we'd finished the song, and then when we were recording like the vocals, that was like the extra chorus I'd written in the studio, and it just made sense like a lot. It was just easy to write in that moment, and it just kind of,
Because it only
everything
comes at the
flowed.
end.
Yeah, and it only comes at the end, it only
Yeah.
comes once. When I felt like it's the kind of like the saving part of the song. Yeah.
Yeah. And it maybe it said it took you, so you'd written it once the song had finished,
Yeah.
just to kind of.
Just literally when we were recording like the final takes.
Wow.
So that was nice.
And I always wonder, like, you know, I don't know, like, where do you think these words come from? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I always wonder, is it like a divine, you know, I don't know, it's light just pours into you and out it comes? Is it things that you've read that you think, I really like the way that that's written, like, you know, books, or is it TV? Is it conversation? Like, what sparks you to write these words, because they're so poetic?
I think it must be speaking. Like, I was actually just eavesdropping. I was in a bookshop, and I think there were two writers talking to each other, and they were saying, oh yeah, my editor's like always pulling me off my grammar, and the other one was like, yeah, but it's just the way I'm using the words, it's just the way I speak, and if I write it in a book, then it is correct because I'm choosing to write it. And I feel like that is the same with songwriting, because you're like using all the usual colloquial words used in your normal life, and every now and then you get out like a thesaurus or dictionary. You want to make it interesting, but
you can't say vibes all the time.
Yeah, no, you can't say chill, you can't say vibe. Someone's a band, but you don't. It's never like the showy off things that the ones that hit with
people.
hit people the most or stick with people. It's always like really simple lines. The more you take out, the better. So I think it's kind of feels like, for me, lyrics are like when everything aligns, you get the right amount of like syllables, or like the phrase is just the word perfect place for like that sentence to kind of land. So maybe that is like a, I don't know, divine, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a great, like when things align like that.
Yeah, I mean, and only you would know, and your producer, and you know, we see the finished product. We don't know what was there before or what didn't fit in that line. Do you edit much? Do you go back in and be like, that's really not fitting right there?
Yeah, sometimes I'll do like a few different versions of like a song. Like you write it and then be like, gonna check going in. You know, you're gonna go back and change some of the words, so they're kind of like a filler, but it helps to have it like filled in for the moment.
Otherwise you're gonna move past that point.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, that's all right, but like it's not perfect. But then sometimes you don't change it, and you're like, oh, it's just become fine. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Like the grammar thing.
Yeah,
I love that idea of like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, what she said, I'm like, yeah, because
it's true.
she's basically saying, if I say it, it's so.
I know, but then so many people have different like thought. Like lots of people correct me like when I'm spelling something wrong, or they're like, "Oh, it's not the way. Like you should write like this." And I think there's beauty in like grammar, I guess, as well. So it's like interesting to find your own balance.
Yeah, your own rhythm with it, because
Yeah.
it, I mean, it essentially is what creates grammar, is what creates like
Language,
rhythm.
yeah.
Language and rhythm
Rhythm,
in the
yeah.
way that we speak. And wanted to talk a little bit about the chorus, because in there we have the cadence of writing. So if I was to look at it written, so we chase each storm, it takes me nowhere, and then we get shorter, cut this loop inside my heart, getting caught inside my chest. Then it's longer, I taste your scorn, I don't know what's left. Got to give me something strong, got to make sure it's your best. And I just like, it felt like a real sort of push and pull.
Yeah.
Even how it's written, but also how you sing it as well. Was there any kind of intentions with that when you think back to how it's, how it's become?
Some lines, they're quite sweet, and then you want to put it against something that's not as like sweet sounding. Otherwise it gets a bit too like treacle.
Yeah.
Like so I feel like that's definitely a push and pull. It's almost like sometimes you're taking back what you said as well.
Well, that's what I thought as well, maybe subconscious.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, this is great, and you're like, but actually this is great, but
listen, friend, we should do this.
Yeah. When I was quite a bit younger, someone said, oh, there's a lot of like, what's that word when you say something and then you take it back? Contradiction, yeah.
Yes.
So like the song like seems like it's full of contradictions, and I feel like they were kind of saying it like maybe it doesn't make sense to have these many contradictions in a song, because then what are you really saying? But I do like doing that, I think, in a song, like saying something really maybe nice or like really honest, and then kind of trying to almost like conceal it and cover it up with like something that's a bit more vague.
Yeah.
I think maybe for me that's just how I feel like safest, maybe saying things like I really mean, is then you can also then put this like veil around it and be like, well, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that. I really like that, the idea of contradiction. It's like when people will like say something like, oh, joke, just joke. But is it a joke?
Yeah.
And that's such a human way that we interact with each other, how we talk to each other. You could be with your mum or with your friend or in person, we meet a fan and say something like, and take it back. That is a human interaction. And were they saying that you shouldn't have contradictions, or you
I think I was like in a workshop, and they were like, too many contradictions, like I'm not getting what you're trying to say, which is true. So
but you overrode that feedback, which I think is important.
I feel like maybe I just worked with it. Like, okay, there's strong contradictions, but it can still make sense. Like, yeah.
I think it goes back again, that bookshop conversation, if I say it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your identity and heritage, because in an interview you had spoke about, and this might actually lead to kind of this idea of contradiction and what's right and what's wrong, because we're all on this kind of journey
think about this,
of self. And there's a great interview, and the interviewer was asking you some really great questions. So from Barbados, Ireland and Turkey were together, and you were saying that you were working out like how much of it do you need to learn before you can claim it. And I thought that was really interesting, because as someone's mixed heritage as well, sometimes on the day it changes, and it depends who I'm talking to, depends if I can be bothered, you know, like, so like if you was with me last week, I was in the Netherlands, I was like, 1 minute I'm Caribbean, next minute I'm the full Caribbean, Irish, Cuban, next minute I'm just Black British, like it just depended on the day. But sometimes I really hesitate to mention Cuba. So my nan was born in Cuba. I never say she was Cuban, and I don't know why and I feel like it's because I don't know enough of that story to really claim it and to own it, even though I've been there, I feel at home there, but I don't know enough of her time there. Or the lineage.
That's interesting,
What was it been like for you, this kind of journey of identity and heritage?
It's just ongoing, I think. Definitely something that, because when you're younger, it's just like, oh, this is half of me, this is a quarter of me, this is a quarter of me.
Yeah.
But it's not really like that. It's like very, like you said, it changes day to day, who you're spending time with, where you happen to be. I definitely haven't spent enough time in any of those countries to know like enough, or like or I kind of always imagined maybe I'd like have separate lives in each country at some point and like live there for a bit, live there for a bit, live there for a
To
bit.
become the
Yeah, just to get a real feel for everything and
yeah.
understand. Maybe what's more important is like trying to like be okay with the fact that you're never gonna know everything, and like trying to be a bit more still and be like, it's okay that maybe don't feel at home everywhere, as long as I feel like at home in like one place sometimes.
Yeah. That's really powerful. And I think I was trying to talk to my mum a little bit about this because what we're seeing, well, I started to get annoyed with, not annoyed with her, it sounds terrible, but I did start to get, we were away in Cuba, and not Cuba, so I was in Brazil. And there's so many different types of ways to be mixed, and complexion and hair and da da da. And she was like, I just don't feel at home here. And I was like, well, if you don't feel at home here, you're not going to feel home anywhere. You're in your 55, woman. Like, but I think what it did is scared me, because it was like, she's still searching.
Yeah.
That's what it did.
Yeah.
I've come to some sort of acceptance in this 30, 35, and this, I've found some sort of acceptance, but then that might go.
It depends what life throws at you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some people are just like, you won't be thinking about it maybe for like 10 years. You'll be so like focused on something else. But yeah, I feel like it's been a big thing for me, like trying to understand what it means. I think I get a bit caught up on that. Like, what does it mean that like, because then sometimes you feel like you have kind of duty, and like you feel like, or maybe you need to explain a bit more, or maybe that's just like wanting to know like why. You feel like maybe there's a reason.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the people meet and
things
that's
happen.
that's the most beautiful part.
Yeah, which is the why. I guess the why is that these things couldn't have happened if it's all part of like a chain reaction. For our parents to have met, or to be from or grandparents to be from different places, or great grandparents to be from different places, and then it's kind of like this boom moment that could have only happened maybe on that day in that area in that minute, which is pretty existential to think of.
But then I also like when you kind of speak to everyone a little bit, even people that feel like they're maybe more from one place, or like their background is as mixed, when you speak to them, it's like, oh, but you actually maybe, it sounds like your background is a bit more diverse than what you're saying, and like everyone's no one's ever from one place.
Definitely
like
not.
The whole world isn't, that's just how the world's made. So I think I guess we've got like a modern version of it, because it's like there's more clear borders maybe now than there's ever been. There's more like, there's so much separation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Has that been like, with the, no, definitely.
Maybe it's like doesn't matter at all. Maybe there isn't a reason.
Yeah.
Because people are just like from everywhere at the end of the day. Yeah.
Because they're people.
Yeah.
No, I really like that. I wondered kind of, did you go on and with this particular album, as you was exploring, say maybe identity, is that what helped you get to that kind of which is a really profound really profound sort of conclusion for today, is that we're just people, and if we didn't actually, the borders and the idea, and even I've been thinking about like this idea that there was one ship that came over from no, that didn't happen. Like, people have been moving and interacting with each other since the beginning of time. So mine's through music, and that sort of curiosity has led me to sort of think pre-colonization, pre-slavery. How did the world move before that? What kind of helped you on your journey?
Yeah, probably music.
Music, yeah.
Music too. Like, I think it comes back to, again, like, why do I want to make music? And I feel like writing in particular, or even making anything, is just more of a way of me understanding myself. And I think that is the question about identity, is like, who are you? Who are we? What are we doing?
Yeah.
When I'm making something, when I'm writing something, that's when I feel most in touch with me. So then it's almost like the question goes out the window, because it doesn't matter, because you know who you are in that moment.
Yeah. Let's jump back into some of the lyrics that we got. So we'll jump to the pre-chorus as well. So we've done the chorus, we'll jump to pre-chorus. So come on and feel this, I'm hardly here either. One push and my wheels give, amnesia. So come on and feel this, the needle gets deeper. I'm hollow, I needed this, I need your amnesia. What's the reference to the amnesia? Is it the idea of like forgetting?
Wanting to like forget something, leave it behind completely, yeah.
And I like the repetition of it, because it's kind of, it sort of just reinforces
Yeah.
the feeling for the desire to kind of want to lose it. Do you think when you think about like technique or like wordplay, is that instinctive or is that taught?
I think a bit instinctive, yeah, and kind of maybe just developed.
Yeah. Yeah. Over time.
Yeah, over time,
Yeah.
been developing my skills.
Yeah, sharpening your pen, as one would say. This third album though is not easy, and I wondered if there was then, did you need to create a different creative space in order to kind of access? Because they say like first album's like your life's work, second album is reacting to maybe the popularity of what people like about you, but the third album is the album that you get to do exactly what you want to do.
I feel like I'm refining a little bit more like the process. It's also taken on like a kind of life of its own, like the album making. Like the first record was so scattered and I didn't really have a plan. And I was kind of working with lots of different people and doing a lot of writing by myself. And yeah, it was like old songs from the past and then like random sessions and kind of pieced it together. And the second record I was just working with like a few people. And then before the third record, me and Will, because we wrote the record together, like we had a chat and we were like saying it would actually be great if we just kept it between us two and we didn't like confuse it. And because you kind of get lost in a way, or you don't get lost, you just kind of go off on another tangent and journey. And like it was so nice to contain it to just like two people and just every session was just like us and like what we were capable of, and we felt like we could actually make a better record that way as opposed to spreading it too thin sometimes. Yeah, and that feels like the deepest like collaboration at the same time, even though you're collaborating with less people, you're giving more of yourself, I think.
Yeah, you can't hide behind
You literally
anyone,
can't.
both of you. Yeah.
That's the hard part, like, because sometimes when you're like writing together, it's almost like you're just having a conversation with yourselves, which is hard.
Why Wilma? Like what I mean,
Yeah.
as a producer's name always comes up, and it's really important that we shout out the people behind records because they do so much for like British music,
Yes.
But what makes him special to you?
Me and Will, we just connected like when I first started making my first record, and I feel like he's been like a true like inspiration for me, like someone whose ideas like actually make me want to write more and like push me at the same time. Like he can play like every instrument and like make anything, so it's that's kind of crazy and very inspiring. But I feel like we always connected on the like guitar side of things. So like he'd always come up with these riffs. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like you kind of taken it from my head, but like I couldn't have written it because it's like so much more interesting than what maybe I was gonna do. And yeah, you kind of get that push and pull, which is I've never really had that with anybody else. So it feels like a really like true friend. And
big up Will.
Yeah.
Big up Will. And the guitar that's your baby, isn't it?
Yeah, I love
that's
guitar.
Your thing.
Yeah.
How did you choose it, and what is why do you resonate so much? Because that riff I feel like is like I've listened to the song so many times, and like even this morning I didn't need to listen to the song again because I've listened to it all of yesterday, but I was addicted to that riff. I just like the way it feels and like the sadness of it.
Yeah, so Will wrote that riff, so I'll take credit for it, but guitar, I don't know what it is. I think I started when I was younger. I started with piano and I always liked music, so it was cool to like learn. But I feel like the first time I'd heard a guitar like on a record, from the first moment I was just like, what is that? Like I want to know what that is. Like no. Just like there were so many like guitar like punky rocky like bands that I used to like love, and just loved any kind of interesting riff or like anything. I think because it's like you can get a lot out of just like two notes or like something very simple.
Yeah. I mean, the guitar, it does lead the song, obviously the writing as well, but the guitar does lead it because when you get into the chorus, before the chorus, then you have a key change.
Yeah.
Okay, don't quote me
No,
on like terminology.
no, I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God, is that?
The guitar goes like that, and then we go
Yeah.
upper chord, or you know, things
okay, I
be
don't
happening
know.
in the track that I don't really know how to explain. But we go up. It feels like a shift in the
Yeah, shift,
song,
yeah.
and the melody shifts up a little bit up there. Then you do the chorus, then the guitar takes us back down.
Yeah. Mm.
That's why I thought that was just a really beautiful part of the song.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the bit that kind of, I guess that was my response to Will's part, was those chords coming in and kind of lifting you and then bringing you back.
Bringing you back down.
Yeah.
See, yeah, I knew there was something in it.
Because it's like you're going round and round, it's like a loop. And
Yeah,
at some point you just feel like you need to leave the loop, or
yeah,
you could have it as a loop, but then it's like the energy, what you want it to change, and it goes to something, even though the chords aren't doing anything crazy, it's like their movement is like breaking you free a little bit of the like repetition.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
you kind of get sucked
Yeah.
back in. No, I thought it was a really sort of just a beautiful moment in the song, and I like
Thank
that.
you.
Like hearing that it's your response to him. It's like you saying, okay, it's like the call and response. Like you feel this. Okay, well, I kind of feel that. And then there's a couple more things I wanted to bring up, just a couple of lines that I just really loved, which was "Heaven for cash" and "Happiness tax." So from verse 2, came up too fast, you know it, and I'm draining my stash. Up in these hills, heaven for cash. View from a new height, happiness tax. Ecstasy builds. I mean, this is probably the most abstract part of the song.
Yeah. Like I feel like that took a lot of like rewriting as well to get to those, to land on those lyrics. For a while I used to just like write one verse and just repeat it as well. That was like my old hack at like finishing a song, just not having the different lyrics. But I do like being able to go like, you've like established maybe what it's about, and you don't need to necessarily say something different. You can just like go a level deeper with it and make it more abstract. Yeah, heaven for cash. I like that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, happiness tax also was like, I don't know, but
I
kind of
like
works.
it.
Yeah.
I think heaven for cash and happiness
Yeah.
tax work together. It's kind of, it's what are you
Also
willing-
brings you back to the real world a bit more, because
Yeah.
you're like money, like views, like
Yeah, what are you willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, like what are you as well, like selling for something in order to get something, or like buying something, like currency.
Yeah. I honestly think it's a brilliant track, and like I said, I've listened to it
Thank you.
you know, so many times.
Thank you.
And you spoke about, you know, this idea of the search and like kind of, you know, you work through the page. So you work through your writing, through your songwriting. At the end of this song, what do you feel like you like came out with, you know, in terms of like what did you work through?
I don't know if this is like the right answer, but being able to write something that's like has enough space to have those like sad kind of deeper, are you okay emotions, but still make it like an enjoyable experience. And I guess it's kind of like life in a way sometimes, because it's like you can look back on something and see the beauty in it, even if it's like a hard time, or like you can still, sometimes you're aware when you're really, really down about something that this too is just like part of your life, and gotta.
It is the song that people, you know, they talk about the singles and they talk about, you know, the title track, and then they'll be like, oh, and Binding. You know, and Binding is I think on the album, it's a standout, definitely. And like you said, like that kind of, it's the roller coaster of life. It's the roller coaster of you coming to the latter end of your 20s. So now you're leaving that decade behind.
It's gone.
It's gone, sweetie. What advice would you give to, if you was to look back at yourself in that last sort of 5 years and leaving your 20s, what advice would you give to yourself, knowing what you know now?
I don't know if this is like I'm gonna regret saying this, but I've been making like little notes for myself before I go to sleep to wake up. So there's things like I know I need to do like the next day, but I'll literally, my brain's a bit like a sieve sometimes, so I like can't remember. Like I'll wake up and be like, oh yeah, what do I need to get done today?
Yeah, I've got that.
So I literally need to write it down before I go to sleep, and then I wake up and I see it, and then I've been writing underneath it like keep your promises to yourself. And I think sounds kind of moist, but it's also, it sounds kind of weak, but it can mean like, what is that promise you made to yourself at like 12 at night, or like what did you say to yourself that you were gonna try and do for yourself, not like on the to-do list, like beyond like what you need to get done, like what do you need to do today?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You've in my brain. This is the story of my life.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do today?
Yeah, and what do you need to do? Like it's even past sometimes like want. It's like there's something that you know you need to do, and literally whatever it is, like whatever you've been working on, like on the side or underneath everything else, like what, yeah.
And I guess that's maybe become even more important, you know, being an established artist.
Yeah.
There's always the things that you need to be doing, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's like I feel like your job kind of in a way kind of pulls you in different directions, but doing your work is like important, but there's also like things that you kind of need to get done for yourself as well, like to keep yourself like ahead of yourself.
Yeah,
Not that like there's a rush in life, but I think yeah, maybe come to the end of my 20s and like feeling like whoa, time can easily just slip away, and you can do all the things and be happy with it, but then it's like maybe there was like the other thing I should have done or this thing. Yeah.
It's a tough time. I think it's a harder time than people give credit to. I definitely found I was called as like Sam's return, damn you, you know. And there was something about coming to the other side of it. It is you are more knowing, you are more chill, you are more accepting of the things that you can't change. So, but people don't talk about like the hardness of it as much, or they don't give the importance to it. They're like, oh, you'll be fine, don't worry about it, you know.
Yeah, but when it's over, it's over. It's done.
Exactly.
Like that's tough.
So we always ask for a line from the song for you to leave the people with. It could just be, just one line that has resonated with you from your song today.
From this song,
Yeah.
Finding.
It's the ones in yellow.
Sandy pre-chorus. Oh yeah, I'm hardly here either. I'm hardly here either. That's probably my favorite.
Why I'm hardly here either?
Because it's like acknowledging somebody else's like feelings and like or like yeah, it's like you're empathizing, and you're also making like a kind of statement like you're not really here either because you've kind of already left that moment, or like everything is so transient in life. We're kind of here for like such a brief moment. And it's hard to be in the moment when you're thinking about everything and you're traveling on to the next moment. So yeah.
That sums up beautifully actually what we've just been speaking about. So I'm hardly here either. It's like you break the fourth wall. What does it mean? Nilüfer Yanya, thank you so much. Method Actor is out for album. You're already on to new singles already, but if you get a chance, go back and embrace Binding because it's such a beautiful song. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed making it. Now, please follow. That's very important. We want to know that you're out there and that you're listening. Please comment as well. This is very much a passion project. We're in a room, but I want to know that it's reaching you. I'd love to know your thoughts. We have some amazing artists that are sharing from the depths of their hearts. Does it resonate with you? What lines, what experience do you resonate with? Please share with us. And of course, if you want to watch the video, if you're not watching it already, you can watch it on YouTube. And lastly, we have got some amazing episodes for you to go back and listen to. Thank you.